Hello pedestrians, this is McGarren Flack. Just going to go over high key and low key and also the differences between the two, and then I will demonstrate how to actually paint a low key painting. Not low key as in like low key, but low key, K-E-Y, like separation, space, hyphen, either way. All right, off to the rights here. I have a value scale. This is value 10. This is value 0. It follows the Munsell system, 0 through 10, 10 being the lightest or whitest, and 0 being black. Now, technically, in painting world, you won't ever get to a value 10, and you won't ever get to a value 0. You will be able to get to a 0.5 value, and you will be able to get to a 9.5 value for the whites. But that's about it. So let's talk about the still life. This is the still life that I will be painting. This is a full value still life. I have multiple objects. I have different colors on it, and I'm going to show you the difference between high key, low key versus full value. So this is full value. If I shift over into high key, notice that the value, the darkest value, is about a value 5. Now, I know that there are 11 value steps here. There's 5 above value 5 and 5 below value 5, but this is the true value 5 or middle value 5. So if I come over and I color pick this nice little dark value here, look at where it sits on the triangle. This left side of the triangle is the values. The right side is the chroma. So if you look here, it's located right in the middle. And I color pick that, that's value 5, okay? If I go over here to value 5 and I select it, it's pretty much the same exact spot. If I go to this darker value that's up here, where the black usually was located, that's value 5. So your darkest value will be a value 5. Your lightest value will be, if I select this one, it's all the way up in the top. If I select this value, it's a little bit darker than that edge, but this is the lightest light, or the whitest part of the whole entire still life. The white plate is not as white as the reflection here. So reflections are always going to be the specular highlights. Specular reflections are going to be lighter than whatever the white object is. Even if the white object is white, you got to make it darker so that the specular highlight will pop forward. The color becomes a little bit more muted. So if I select this color, do you see how it's closer to the gray side than it is to the chromatic side? It is lighter in value, but it is more chromatic. When you get into these darker values, it can shift into a higher chroma, but usually it doesn't. It loses its chroma. All right, so that is high key. Now, if I shift it and go to low key, this value, the lightest value in here. Again, I selected this, so I'm going to go over here, select the lightest value, and look at how dark it is. So dark because it's about relationships of values. If I color select this value 5, you can see it's right there in the middle. And if I go back to this highlight and select it, it's a little bit darker than the value 5. If I color select this value, see how it's almost pure black? Even the shadows in some of these areas are going to be pure black, right? There's pure black. The edge of the canister is going to be pure black. This is going to be pure black. So pure black areas are going to be down here in value, and then you're going to slowly creep up into those lighter values, but be careful not to reach value 5 too quickly. You have to save that for your highlights, for all of this to be able to make sense. Another thing that I want to point out, look at how, again, the chroma has shifted. It's a little bit more chromatic because it's darker in value, but it is, again, closer towards the grays. So whenever you take something out of its native value and shift the value structure down, it's going to lose chroma. Or if you shift the value up, it's going to lose chroma. So don't be so worried about getting the right chroma when you're doing high key and low key. The focus is value. So keep your high key in this value section and keep your low key in this value section. Last thing, posterizing. When you start to work on your paintings, instead of painting all the little details, I see too many students jumping in here and they start painting the little stem of the apple and they're trying to render it out. And they're like, why doesn't it look right? It doesn't look like a stem. How do you paint a stem? Oh, this glass, it doesn't look like glass. How do you paint glass? Instead of doing that, I would recommend squinting down. What squinting down does is it simplifies the forms and it posterizes your shapes. Here, I've just selected a posterization. If I click on the posterization of it, if I select here on posterization for the properties, I'm at 8 different levels. meaning it's going to take 8 different levels per object and divide it up. If I drop this down to 2 levels, look at how it simplifies the light shapes from the shadow shapes. All of the shadow shapes are one value. Look at this glass object. It totally disappears. Look at the metal object. Totally disappears because it considers all of these midtones in shadows. Same with this, but the opaque objects, you have a light side and a shadow side. Separates it from lights and shadows. If we go to 4 values, you still get that separation of light and shadow, but it's compressed. The values are compressed. Look at the metal object. Here we have the highlights, the midtone, and then almost all of this dark value is the same thing. It's really, really dark. Same thing with the glass. Look at the glass. I mean, there's like highlights that are coming off to the side here and the side there, and the background's getting distorted and subtle little value changes that are in the base of it. This stopper at the top, it's just shadow shape and light shape. Very, very simple. So when you squint down, this is what you should be seeing. And this will help you manage and make decisions on your painting if you see it this way. So squint down, this is what you're trying to go for. And if we have this and we go low key, look at how simple that is. This is much more manageable than this. There's just too much information. So squint down, simplify.